This channel is provided for informational purposes only. Contact your physician for any diagnostic or treatment plan. Press the like symbol if you enjoyed any part of this video. Thank you. Hey, welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. You know, so often we tend to get tied up with our diabetes care and how much of a pain it is. And when I really start feeling like I'm getting a little burned out about all the care and all the steps I have to take and such, it's important to remember how far we have come. Back in 1924 ish, early 20s, if you got type 1 diabetes, that was a death sentence. You just wasted away. You couldn't eat because your body wanted to get rid of sugar. All your fat, your body was utilizing that for energy. You just felt like crap. And eventually you died. You ended up starving to death. There wasn't as much understanding of proteins and how they work. And back then, if you ate more of a protein diet, chances are you could have lived a little bit longer, but the body still needed insulin. Insulin has been a godsend. If we didn't have insulin, we would be at a total loss. There would be death all around us. And while I hate to say that type 1 diabetes is just a juvenile diabetes, it isn't only that. It's also a disease that can kill. You have to take the disease and give it the respect it needs. So, type 1 diabetes, when I was diagnosed to now, has changed so much. When I was diagnosed, we were just coming out of boiling our needles and sharpening our needles. I was shown how to do that in the hospital. We were given a prescription for the reusable syringe kit. And when we went to get it filled, the pharmacist says, you know what? I have disposable now. Probably be a lot easier for you. And it was every time be able to use a sharp needle. God, that was a godsend. But, you know, a lot of people just feel, oh, I can eat anything I want. I'll just keep shooting up with insulin. Well, insulin is a hormone. It isn't a drug. It still needs to be regulated. You need to make sure that your doctor and pharmacist work together to ensure that you have supply. Nothing's worse than calling your pharmacy and hearing, oh, I'm sorry, we're out of your insulin. Or, you know, for some reason you have a little bit more money coming in and you want to stock up on supplies. Now, there is so much more available to us. We have a bigger social net, which helps type 1 diabetics every day. I have a problem with my diabetes, and I go through an awful lot of insulin. I go through syringes. I go through pump supplies and glucometers, pumps. All these things I need supplies for weren't around. It basically was alcohol and cotton balls. Sorry, what's that? It was insulin bottles, it was syringes, and that was it. Oh, yes, the urine testing. God, that was terrible. You know, having to go out and do a urine test before you ate was ridiculous. You couldn't go and discuss things with your doctor when you were doing urine tests, which really didn't tell us that much. But what do? You have to keep going. I call from 1927 to late 70s, early 80s as the dark ages of diabetes care. As long as you weren't getting sick, throwing up, you were pretty well set. But we now know that keeping your body's blood sugars as close to normal as possible is the best course of action. So why do we have to constantly worry about that? Because it finds that complications set in. Diabetics can live a long, prosperous life if they keep their blood sugars within a normal range. It's hard to say this to someone who's just being diagnosed and who thinks their life's over because they can no longer go out drinking or go out partying. You are so much better off nowadays. And you will have so much more energy. And if you just followed the simple rules. Where to go with these rules? Well, eat right. And that usually means keeping less salt, which is probably best for all of us anyway. Complex carbs is what you eat. You don't want to be constantly eating the simple carbs, things that are going to raise your blood sugar through the roof very quickly. The one thing I've sort of noticed, minus the morning, is my food intake throughout the day is pretty well stable in these complex carbohydrates. There's a few things. So that medication, make sure you be taking your medication. If all of a sudden you go on your merry way and all of a sudden you feel like crap and you're thirsty, chances are you may have forgot a dose. So try to come up with a schedule. Myself, I get very kind of forgetful, and I will constantly forget about giving doses, especially in the morning. Testing. You need to test. You need to be able to see what your body is doing and how your body is utilizing the glucose you're eating. You need to know if you eat this, what's going to happen. What's going to happen if you have a piece of pie or a piece of fruit? How is that going to affect your glucose? Think about it. You need to constantly keep it on top of it. Now, why did I just go through all that? Well, it's important for you to remember that you need to live a long and prosperous life. And the way we're able to do that is they've learned so much. There are new products available. There's glucometers, which allows you to see what your body is doing with the glucose. So, yes, diabetes sucks. It's a pain all the time to do a test. However, you can show how much better you are and follow a game plan. You'll have more energy, you'll get up, you'll be able to do things. Think about it. Do a little research, see how diabetics lived before your era. And with that, have a super day, and we'll talk again later. Bye now. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. Thank you. My email is mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com. mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com.